Welcome to NTD News. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Here are today's top stories. Today, President Trump responded to the recent rumors about his health after a visit to a local medical center. He says the visit was for a routine physical. The FBI is looking into whether any criminal organizations were involved in the death of Jeffrey Epstein. That's according to the head of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. When the multimillionaire died in his cell last August, his death was ruled a suicide. President Trump speaks on U.S. China trade negotiations. He says China will have to make a deal he likes. And an economics professor says the Chinese regime has a history of untrustworthy behavior in negotiations. 4 masked intruders set fire to a printing press in Hong Kong. The press belongs to NTD sister media, the Epoch Times. The men are seen in security footage throwing flammable liquid and igniting it with a lighter. And the Senate passed legislation this evening that would support pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act is meant to punish Beijing for interfering in Hong Kong's affairs. During a cabinet meeting at the White House today, President Trump commented on speculation that his unscheduled visit to Walter Reed Medical Center was because of a heart attack.
Trump explained that First Lady Melania Trump and some of his staff members expressed concern about his health, based on media reports about his trip to the hospital on Saturday.
But I went for a physical, and I came back. My wife said, "Darling, are you okay? What's wrong?" "Oh, they're reporting you may have had a heart attack." I said, "Why?"
The trip wasn't part of the president's public schedule, which means it didn't follow standard White House protocol for physicals. Usually, that includes advance public notice.
Did a very routine physical, visited the family, visited a couple of groups, but visited the family of a young soldier who was very badly injured, who was in the operating room. I toured the hospital for a little while. I was out of there very quickly. I got back home.
Trump said the speculative reports showed that the media is corrupt and dangerous.
And moving on to U.S. China trade negotiations. Today, President Trump reiterated that China will have to make a deal he likes, which he has said could happen soon. But how soon? NTD's Miguel Moreno has the story, including insights from a China expert who says the climate is too unstable to start making any predictions.
At a cabinet meeting, President Trump said if no deal is made, he'll raise the tariffs even higher.
Look, China's going to have to make a deal that I like. If they don't, that's it, okay?
His remarks come over a month after he announced that a Phase 1 deal was reached, but so far it hasn't been finalized. Some analysts speculate that a deal could be reached by the end of this year. However, Frank Xie, an economics professor and contributor to the Epoch Times, said the negotiations are unpredictable. He says China wants to drag this out.
They want to see that the U.S. lift all the tariffs on Chinese exports. And they probably overestimated their ability in negotiation, were too optimistic.
Without tariffs, he said the Chinese Communist Party would have no incentive to stop its unfair trade practices. In other words, tariffs are like an enforcement mechanism.
Right. The reason the U.S. government, insists on this enforcement mechanism is because, nobody can trust this government. This Chinese government, communist government, is not trustworthy.
He referred to the Hong Kong protests as an example. The regime promised the territory's citizens semi-autonomy until 2047, but since the protests began, it has escalated its aggression against them. Xie says while it's good that the U.S. and China say it's possible to sign something, he's skeptical that a trade deal can even be reached, considering the regime's history. Miguel Moreno, NTD News, New York.
The FBI is looking into the death of Jeffrey Epstein, the multimillionaire who was charged with sex trafficking crimes. According to the head of the Bureau of Prisons, who testified before Congress today, it is looking into whether any criminal organizations were involved.
And I wanted to talk about the death of Mr. Epstein. Do you concur with the opinion that it was a suicide?
That was the finding of the coroner, sir.
Okay. Do you have any evidence to suggest otherwise?
I do not. Epstein had already pleaded guilty in 2008 to soliciting prostitution from a minor. His case blew up again earlier this year when he was arrested on sex trafficking charges, including of girls as young as 14. His high-profile death on August 10th has raised questions about the circumstances under which he died. He was ruled a suicide, but there is speculation, including from his former bodyguard, that he had help. Now the Bureau of Prisons says the FBI is looking at whether there was any connection to organized crime.
With a case this high profile, there's got to be either major malfunction of the system or a criminal enterprise at foot to allow this to happen. So are you looking at both? Is the FBI looking at both?
If the FBI is involved, then they are looking at criminal enterprise, yes.
Epstein had been on suicide watch at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. However, a source told Reuters he was taken off suicide watch before his death. 2 jail guards were required to make separate checks on all the prisoners every 30 minutes, but the source said that procedure was not followed. The New York Times cited a source as saying the 2 guards were arrested and charged on Tuesday. The paper says they were charged for failing to check on Epstein, then lying about it in prison documents. Holly Kellum, NTD News.
The Senate today passed legislation to support pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong who have been fighting the Chinese regime's influence in the city. Now that it's been approved by the Senate, it will go to the president's desk. The White House has not indicated whether or not Trump will sign it.
What China's really pushing for in Hong Kong is moving from one country, 2 systems to one country, 1 system.
The Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act was passed by voice vote in the House in October. It places Hong Kong's special treatment by the U.S. under tighter scrutiny. It also allows the president to put sanctions on human rights abusers in Hong Kong. After the House passed the bill, China accused the U.S. of sinister intentions. And a printing press for an independent newspaper in Hong Kong was attacked today. The newspaper, NTD's sister media, Epoch Times, was founded to bring uncensored media to mainland China. NTD's Paul Graney is in Hong Kong with the story.
At around 3:40 a.m. local time, 4 masked men forced their way into the independent printing press that produces the Epoch Times newspaper in Hong Kong. 2 of the men carried batons and another carried 2 containers containing a flammable liquid, which he poured onto the factory machines and newspapers. One man then ignited the liquid with a lighter. The 4 men ran away after the fire started, and the whole incident lasted about 2 minutes. Although the masked men were dressed in all black, similar to Hong Kong protesters, neither the owner of the print shop nor the Epoch Times newspaper believe that the protesters are behind the attack.
I don't think they're protesters, because there's no reason for them to do so. What they were trying to fight for, they want the world to know, they want people to know.
Protests have rocked the region over Beijing's growing influence in Hong Kong's affairs.
So we are one of the newspaper who really gives out the truth and really reporting the real situation here.
The Epoch Times is an independent newspaper and has been banned in China since being founded in 2000. The Hong Kong branch has been targeted by the Chinese Communist Party before.
For example, our computer technician who was kidnapped by them in Zhuhai for 2 days, and then they sent him back to be a special agent for them. And his mission was supposed to be sabotage the Hong Kong Epoch Times.
Last week, celebrity and democracy activist Denise Ho tweeted out a photo showing that only the Epoch Times and one other major paper did not run a front-page political ad condemning Hong Kong's pro-democracy protesters.
Hundreds of protesters have left the besieged Polytechnic University in Hong Kong, most handing themselves into police, but some through daring escapes. Meanwhile, Hong Kong police are accused of driving vehicles into protesters during a clearance operation.
Hundreds have left the flaming battleground of Hong Kong's Polytechnic University, though scores of defiant protesters remain inside. Some left through daring escape attempts, around a dozen shimmying down plastic hosing from a bridge before fleeing on waiting motorbikes as police fired projectiles. Others tried to flee, only to be beaten back by police firing rubber bullets, water cannon, and tear gas. But most who have left the campus handed themselves in, driven to desperation after police surrounded the institution, subjecting it to 2 days under lockdown. Police said nearly 800 people had left the campus and would be investigated, including nearly 300 under the age of 18. On the campus grounds, many fear lengthy sentences if they are charged with rioting, as police have threatened.
I know that the policemen just want to solve this event, and then for us, we want just to live safely.
Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam says there are at least 100 people still on the campus. Lam warned that police are ready to take necessary action if there are major life-threatening incidents. Outside the campus, the parents of those protesters still inside want to avoid a tragedy.
As parents, we only have one wish. That is, we hope that each and every one of them can safely return home with us.
We do not want any of these parents present to become Tiananmen mothers, or for history to call them the Polytechnic University mothers.
On Monday, tens of thousands of people tried to encircle police officers near the campus in order to distract them and rescue those trapped inside. Video footage shows riot police firing tear gas towards protesters. Police vans trailing them rushed through street fires at high speed. When asked about police vehicles speeding into the crowd, one of the officers said it was necessary to take such measures.
Drive fast doesn't mean it is unsafe. For our police officers, they all well trained.
Another video shows a group of officers from the Special Tactical Squad, commonly known as Raptors, chasing and beating non-resisting protesters in the streets. Some even dragging protesters out and kicking their heads.
New York has joined the ranks of states suing the nation's biggest e-cigarette maker. New York State Attorney General Letitia James today announced a lawsuit against San Francisco-based Juul Labs.
No matter how it is delivered, nicotine is addictive and it's harmful, and it's especially harmful to our youth.
The lawsuit alleges the company used deceptive and misleading marketing to sell its e-cigarettes, contributing to a youth vaping epidemic. Juul was sued by California on Monday and North Carolina in May. Illinois, Massachusetts, and several other states are also investigating the company. And Full House actress Loughlin and her fashion designer husband are contesting expanded charges against them in the college admissions bribery scandal.
On Tuesday, lawyers for Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli entered not guilty pleas on their behalf. They are now being newly charged with conspiracy to commit federal program bribery. The couple waived their right to appear in federal court in Boston earlier this month. Prosecutors have added the bribery charge for 11 parents who previously pleaded not guilty. Another 19 parents have now pleaded guilty or agreed to do so. Loughlin and Giannulli are accused of paying $500,000 to get their two daughters into the University of Southern California. The daughters no longer attend USC. The couple previously pleaded not guilty to fraud and money laundering.
This is extremely gutsy. The Chinese Communist Party is not known for taking criticism very well.
The police have blocked off the streets and been firing tear gas and beanbag rounds at the protesters, and they've made several arrests.
警方呢是一直进行了一些推进，并且呢是多次舉起黑旗和橙旗呢，去發射了很多的催淚彈。
即係佢哋放催淚彈嗰時，嘭咁撞到個肚㗎。咁咧就我而家翻轉頭咧就見到個咁嘅嘢，因為嗰時兵荒馬亂咧，我就。
That's the media liaison. They're telling us that we need to get out of here. They're telling the press to leave.
Boy, this tear gas is getting pretty strong.
You're
Others have described China Uncensored like The Daily Show, but about China.
At the beginning, I was super excited when I got 500 views, and now the show's grown to about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. One episode reached 7.9 million people. I'm a little freaked out that that many people have seen my face. In 5 years, I see China Uncensored as the sole source of edutainment worldwide.
The U.S. has deployed thousands of additional military forces in the Middle East, including bombers and air defense personnel, to act as a deterrent against what Washington says is provocative Iranian behavior.
Tensions in the Gulf have risen since attacks on oil tankers this summer, including off the coast of the United Arab Emirates, and a major assault on energy facilities in Saudi Arabia. Washington has blamed Iran, which has denied being behind the attacks on global energy infrastructure. President Trump said in a letter sent to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and President pro tempore of the Senate Chuck Grassley that to assure U.S. partners, deter further Iranian provocative behavior, and bolster regional defensive capabilities, additional United States armed forces have been ordered to deploy to the Middle East. Trump added that when the additional forces are fully deployed, there will be about 3,000 troops in Saudi Arabia. They will stay deployed for as long as necessary. The latest move comes as protests sparked by gasoline price hikes have spread across Iran since Friday, with demonstrators demanding that clerical leaders step down. According to Amnesty International, Iran cracked down on the protests, killing at least 106 people. The U.S. aircraft carrier strike group Abraham Lincoln on Tuesday sailed through the vital Strait of Hormuz.
And neither Pelosi nor Grassley has replied to the president's letter as of yet. And the Taliban released American and Australian university professors held hostage for more than 3 years. The professors were released by way of a prisoner swap with the Afghan government.
American Kevin King and Australian Timothy Weeks were kidnapped in August 2016 outside the American University of Afghanistan in Kabul. Both worked there as professors. They were freed in return for the release of 3 Taliban commanders. A video from January 2017 shows them as hostages.
We are now here hostages of the Taliban.
But we've been here for a while, and we haven't heard anything.
Hours after their release, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani declared victory over ISIS in Afghanistan. He told residents not to worry about the Taliban taking the territory now that ISIS is out. More than 600 ISIS terrorists have surrendered with their families to the Afghan government in past weeks. Officials say airstrikes by Afghan and coalition forces, lack of funds, and low morale have forced the group to give up.
Authorities found 25 migrants in a refrigerated container on a cargo ferry bound for Britain today, shortly after it left the Netherlands.
2 of the migrants were taken to the hospital for treatment, while the other 23 received a medical checkup after the ship returned to a Dutch port. They were then taken away by police for processing. The migrants were aboard a Britannia Seaways ferry owned by Danish operator DFDS. A statement said sniffer dogs were being used to comb the vessel for other possible stowaways. The case recalls a migrant disaster last month. On October 23rd, 39 bodies believed to be of Vietnamese migrants were discovered in the back of a refrigerated truck near London. The container arrived on a ferry from Belgium. 2 people were charged in Britain and 8 in Vietnam over the deaths.
Factual,
honest news.
Not biased, but completely straightforward.
You're not emotionally going up and down.
Bringing morality back to newspapers.
Be honest, old-fashioned journalism.
You're presenting the facts and letting the reader decide.
The Epoch Times is a fearlessly independent news media that publishes in 35 countries and 21 languages. Truth and tradition is our motto. Founded as an antidote to communist propaganda, today we're quickly becoming a household name across America. Our subscribers thank us for our relentless and unbiased coverage.
I've been part of the Epoch Times for nearly a decade because I've seen there's no other major media outlet in the world as devoted to real journalism. The Epoch Times has never had any corporate or political agenda. We only serve our readers, and we'll stay that way, no matter what.
We connected the dots around Spygate, the Obama administration's elaborate efforts against Trump's 2016 campaign. We often break news months ahead of other media on topics such as Chinese espionage, cyber warfare, subversion in America, and more. But our authoritative reporting didn't only just begin. We are tried and true.
Our paper was born out of the need to respond to a human rights catastrophe in China. It was enabled by the Communist Party's vicious and dishonest propaganda. We soon learned that Western media were picking up and amplifying the lies. The Epoch Times' truthful reporting exposed the Communist Party's lies for the Chinese people. But it also helped protect our Western audience. It disabused for them the lies in this propaganda. Our reporting has also helped uncover how communist ideas are taking root in our own country. The Epoch Times started as a small and unknown publication in one of the toughest media markets in the world. We have built it through hard work and trial and error.
We were founded in the year 2000 in Atlanta, Georgia, by Chinese Americans who had fled communist China. Our independent reporting came at a price. Our staff members in China were jailed and tortured for their reporting, some for as long as 10 years. Because our founders believed in truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, the principles of the spiritual practice fallen gone. They felt such sacrifices were worth it to ensure for the world an independent, honest media, one that would report on the most pressing issues of our time. As many major media are losing people's trust and declining further every day, the fastest growing newspaper in America delivers truth and tradition. Look us up today.
As restaurants face a deluge of food orders from third-party delivery platforms like Uber Eats and Grubhub, some chains are launching dining-less locations.
While pickup and delivery options aren't new, now there is an increase in how much of the business it accounts for. Chopt says they've been offering delivery and pickup services since their first store opened 18 years ago. But today, those orders make up almost half of its business in larger locations.
We are sensing a really huge customer need for speed, for convenience.
That's why their newest location in New York is unique among the 61 of its other sites. This side has no cash registers and no tables at which to eat.
I think we're hopeful that this concept really raises the bar on customer convenience.
Digital orders are a major growth area for many fast food chains and so-called dark kitchens that crank out meals without giving patrons the option to dine on site.
We're changing the way we dine. We want it quicker, cheaper, and better.
While previous attempts by startups and celebrity chefs at delivery-only locations flopped, now they're becoming more popular. Chick-fil-A has sites in Nashville and Louisville, while Wendy's is planning to open 2 dark kitchens by the year's end.
Up next, a mother builds a house entirely out of recycled bottles. Located in rural Brazil, the house is proving quite the attraction. Find out more when we return.
I have traveled all over the world to 50 countries now, and I have never seen a production any better than this, anywhere.
It's absolutely out of this world.
It's blown away my expectations.
It was just a superior performance that truly could bridge the world through music and dance.
Startling and breathtaking. We haven't had quite an experience like that in all the years that I've lived here, so it was special for us.
I think that I learned more in this performance than I actually do in a whole week of school.
The beautiful costumes and people just float. The choreography is incredible and the storyline, beautiful, beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I'm getting teary-eyed watching. It's very moving. You feel it. You're feeling the show.
It's like a mini vacation that transported me into another place, into another world, into another culture.
When I came here tonight, I felt very dejected about the human race, about everything going on in this world. And during the performance, I just felt now there was hope for each of us individually, as well as for all of us collectively.
Shen Yun was more breathtaking, more heart-wrenchingly beautiful, more amazing than I had expected. It's very difficult to put into words, actually. You just have to come see it.
In a rural area of Brazil, a DIY home made of thousands of discarded bottles is proving to be quite the attraction.
Essa é minha casa, essa é minha cozinha, meu quarto.
It's a labor of love for single mom Yvonne Martins, who took to building this house following the death of her son.
E eu costumei na roça, no sítio.
I got used to living in this area and have built this house of bottles so as to get me out of a depression. I feel like a warrior.
The glass bottles are placed on their side and bound together with cement. Martins got the idea to build the bottle house in late November 2017 after seeing large quantities of bottles dumped in the area.
Here, there are more than 10,000 glass bottles.
At 10 feet high, 30 feet wide, and 26 feet in length, Martins fashioned a bedroom, corridor, kitchen, and a bathroom out of more than 6,000 bottles. But work on the home is not over. Martins is also thinking about how to incorporate other recycled materials to make furniture for the home. And that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tiffany Meyer.